Good morning, folks. Dr. John Taylor Kent here. Look, it's the middle of the night. I woke up because I realized I'm a little bit behind on producing videos. And I've also looked at the analytics. Well, not the analytics, just the numbers of views on Awakening Israel compared to Dr. John Taylor Kent, my two channels. I'm going to throw all my eggs into the one basket of Dr. John Taylor Kent because I'm getting more views here. Just not enough views on the videos that I've been populating their channel with. So I'm just going to lay them all down here so you're going to get the whole thing. I'm not going to be separating religion and psychology, but I'm merging them on this channel. So sort through, watch what you want. Want to support me, then like the video. That'd be nice. Leave a comment. That'd be real wonderful. Buy my Bible. That'd be good all the way around. I don't accept donations. I had a lady friend say, well, why don't you accept, direct gifts? Well, I might have to do that. Today I tried to negotiate on another motorhome and it didn't go very well. These folks are expecting you to go above book value, and the thing is that most people are starting to sell at a little bit less than book value. So it's hard to say what's happening with this market. But what I can tell you is that when I find I'm in error, when I mention the Bible, I like to correct myself, and rather quickly. So my argument and the supposition, an older brother who's been reading the Bible for, oh boy, he's got to have been reading the Bible for 60 years by now. He's in Toledo. He's a personal trainer. He's a great guy. And he told me, Kent, there should be no such thing called the Christian religion. And of course, I'm dumbfounded thinking, how can you say that, man? I mean, how can you say that? Well, I know better than to just let it go, and I know better than to call judgment on it and just not look into things. So I looked into things, and I've been taking my time. And so we've got this new version of the Bible, the proper name version of the King James Bible. And no, I haven't read the whole thing yet. I'm still working on understanding a lot in this thing. So let me see if I can find... Oh my Lord, it looks like I lost it already. Well, I dog-eared my page. It'll take me a little bit to find it, but it shouldn't be impossible. It should be, well, right there. I think that's it. I'm not sure. No. I'm going to find it. I know that because I bent the page over because this was such an important thing. And basically, I made an error earlier, and the error that I made was that the word Christ wasn't in the Bible. Oh, yeah, it is. It's in this version of the Bible. Now, I'm reading from the large print edition, and this is, the brown leatherette version. There's a black leatherette version, and you can get the one with the tabs in it. Oh, I just lost my place. You can get the one with the tabs in it. It costs a little bit more. It makes things a little bit more convenient. And if you're just starting out reading the Bible, it's probably a good idea to go ahead and get that version of the Bible and spend the extra money on it, because you'll find your books a little bit faster, especially among the smaller books. And we may think, well, those aren't important, but those small books actually have very key things to contribute to the overall picture. So you need to have access to that. So this is on page 1867. This is in John, first chapter of John, and this is verse 41. And this is early on in the book, my favorite book in the Bible, I guess, because it's my name, whatever, John. And here's where I'm in error, because here we have the word Christ mentioned, not Christian or Christians, and I believe those are mentioned just each once, by the way. But primarily what you're going to find in this new Bible is the word Messiah, which is what was in the original scripture a long time ago. So, verse 41, he first found his own brother Simon and said to him, we have found the Messiah, which is, being interpreted, the Christ. So here we have the word Christ mentioned. Most of the time you're going to see Messiah, and this is one of the few mentions of Christ. Now you're also going to find that in the book of Acts, they are going to be called Christians for the first time. And I don't know if I can just turn to this or not. This is pretty important stuff. But basically, and the important thing about it is that they were called Christians, but they didn't call each other that. And for some reason, we have weird sayings in the church. And I say they're weird because it's not accurate. It's not an accurate reporting of what the Bible says. And the report that we have, that we've been saying that's not accurate is, well, they first called each other Christians at Antioch. And that's not quite true. So that will be in the book of Acts. And I don't think I can turn to it right away, which shows you that I haven't prepared for this at all. I just wanted to get out the fact that the Christ is in here. Now, why do I have problems with calling it the Christian faith? Well, basically it's because the followers didn't call it that. And Yahshua, not Jesus, his name was Yahshua. Yahshua the Messiah didn't call it that either. Yahshua the Messiah referred to the faith, if you will, two different ways. The belief system or the life path, the lifestyle. The first was he referred to it as the faith of our fathers. Okay, that makes sense. By the way, the faith of our fathers makes it a patriarchy. Now, if you look at the Jewish faith today, it is not a patriarchy, it's a matriarchy. Your lineage goes down through your mother, which makes some sense because we inherit the mitochondrial cells, part of our cells, the engine that basically runs our metabolism, that's inherited from our mothers. So that does make some sense. But the fact is, the Bible's a book of patriarchy. It's written about patriarchs. It's not written about a matriarchs. It's not a matriarchy. So that's a telltale sign of a difference between an Israelite and what we might call a Jew, or the other word would be an Israeli, perhaps. An Israeli and an Israelite are not the same thing. And so Yahshua himself says the faith of our fathers. And it is referred to that throughout the Bible. You'll see the faith of our fathers. Okay, that makes some sense. That makes a lot of sense. Now, the second way that it was described was by Yahshua saying he is the truth, life, and the way. And the disciples, the followers, also called it the way. This is the way to life. Now, the best description of the Bible, the original description which I've used, is it's a history book. Okay, so read it for its history. Read it for its history rather than for its religiosity or religion. Okay, read it for the history rather than what we've made it, what man has turned this into. So that's the first level you read at. Well, one of my brothers recently this summer told me it's a law history book. Well, it definitely gives you a way to live. It gives you perspective. It defines things for you. It gives you a lot of yardsticks by which to measure, if you will. It establishes standards for behavior, standards for living. So it does establish the way. And we've turned this thing into a book of religion, if you will, or superstition, if you don't like the term religion. And we've created things. We claim first, the followers, they called each other Christians at Antioch. No, they did not. The people that called them Christians were the Roman pagans. And the word Christian was derogatory. It was considered a lowlife. Okay, and Christian was considered a lowlife to the Romans at that time, to the pagans. And so it was like cussing. And even Felix tells Paul that he almost convinced him to become a Christian. That's the word that was used. So it is a derogatory term. And you have to remember, and what stands out to me is the simple saying in the Bible that he who is hung upon a tree is condemned. Well, okay, is he condemned before he's hung on the tree? Probably. Condemned afterwards. So it's not exactly a graceful position, a saving position. It's not cool. Okay. Oh, the dog is groaning. So the main thing I want to tell you is that with this new version of the Bible, we've got something far more accurate. And you may think, well, this is a new copyrighted version of the Bible. And we know that copyrighted versions of the Bible are no good because the King James isn't copyrighted. And that's what makes it so good, because nobody's making money off it, because making profits is immoral and illegal. Well, there's nothing wrong with the worker earning his wages, being compensated for his labor. Nothing wrong with that at all. And by the way, the King James Bible is only not copyrighted in the United States, pretty much as a result of that Revolutionary War. So every place else in the rest of the world, it's copyrighted. Guess who owns the copyright? Well, she's dead now. Now the king owns the copyright. And so that's the only reason it's not a copyrighted Bible in the United States, is because of our Revolutionary War. So this is a copyrighted Bible, and it's fairly recent. It's far more accurate. It corrects the mistake made when Ptolemy II was translating the Bible and producing the Greek Septuagint at about 275 BC. So he actually took out the proper name of God, Yahweh. He removed it. I don't know why. We don't know if Ptolemy II was a good guy or a bad guy. That's the big question. Some of us think, well, he had to be a good guy because he translated the Bible. Well, he didn't exactly do it in a kosher fashion. He didn't exactly do it properly. So I don't know if he was a good guy or a bad guy. That's one of those things that's kind of on the back burner. I'll make a determination on that later on as I go. But for you, I need you to understand that the name is Yeshua and the name is Yahweh. As far as being the Son of God, sometimes I like to contradict that, because I like to point out that the Bible itself says something that appears to contradict that. But you have to remember that David was talking about, how can the son be the father to the man, so to speak? Which came first? So that was a pretty important thing. Here I am trying to look up a verse, and I can't remember what I was looking up. Okay. Luke. The importance of Luke. This is an important thing. Most people do not read this far and catch things like this. But these are things that are important. This one is important. And it's going to throw you into a little bit. Okay, there we are. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's not Luke. It is Luke chapter 3. Yes. Luke chapter 3, we have kind of like the reversed genealogy, if you will. And let's see where it starts on that. Start off with John. And then we have the Holy Ghost descending upon Yahshua like a dove, and a voice calling out from heaven saying, "You are my beloved Son, in you I am well pleased." So we have Yahweh speaking about Yahshua, declaring that he's his son. But here's what's really interesting. We go through this book at the end, and that's in verse 22, and that's when John baptizes Yahshua. And then we have a kind of a reverse, if you will, genealogy going back in time. And this is one that's not looked at very often. The other one that goes forward in time is a little bit more accurate. It's more read. But this is very interesting, and an important thing is the son of, in verse 33, which was the son of Aminadab, which was the son of Ram, which was the son of Hezron, which was the son of Pharez. Pharez is important. One of the two twins, the other one being Zerah, born to Tamar in Genesis 1, which was the son of Judah. Judah's son, Pharez. And then we keep going backwards. And we go to which was the son of Jacob, which was the son of Isaac, which was the son of Abraham, which was the son of Terah in Haran, which was the son of Nahor in Haran, which was the son of Serug, which was the son of Ru. I don't know who these people are, which was the son of Peleg. Peleg's important because it was during that time the earth was divided, and I still don't know quite what that means. Which was the son of Eber, which is short for Heber, which was the son of Selah, which was the son of Canaan with an I in it, Cainan, which was the son of Aphaxad, which was the son of Shem, which was the son of Noah, which was the son of Lamech. There's two different Lamechs in the Bible. Which was the son of Methuselah, which was the son of Enoch, which was the son of Jared, which was the son of Mahalalel, which was the son of Canaan, again with another I in it, which was the son of Enos, which was the son of Seth. Seth replaced Abel, remember that. Which was the son of Adam, which was the son of God. Let me read that verse 33 again, the last verse of Luke 3, chapter 3. Which was the son of Enos, which was the son of Seth, which was the son of Adam, which was the son of God. So this is an important thing, because basically it's telling us Adam was the son of God. So quite often I'm asked, do I believe that Yahshua was the son of God? I said, well, no, Adam was the son of God. Yahshua was Yahweh in the flesh. Now, that logic, that perspective can be supported, and can be supported quite well. However, the important point I want to get across to you right now is that basically Yahweh decided to have a family on the earth. And that's what this story is about. So Adam and Adam kind, Adam was the son of God, the son of Yahweh. And of course they say Adam was the one that screwed up and did the original sin. Well, I look at it not so much that Adam screwed up. Yeah, Adam screwed up when he blamed God, blamed his father Yahweh for his wife. Okay, that's in there. He did that. Yeah, that's an error. I'd say I guess I call that a sin, right? I mean, you're protesting and you're putting the blame on your father because of the woman he gave you to be a wife. Okay, I understand that. So that's something Adam probably would have been best off not doing. But the main thing is that Adam didn't partake in that sin, from what I can tell. Now, the analogy has him eating of the fruit. But the fact is that what we have embedded in the Bible is a story that tells us that what the original sin was Eve and a fallen angel outside of the family of Yahweh had a sexual relationship, and as a result of that union had a child, a son who was a hybrid, a half-breed, if you will. He was half fallen angelic DNA from his father Gadriel, from which we get the name of God, which gets substituted throughout the Bible, and that's part of the confusing thing that's happened over all these years with the Bible. And we don't find out about that sin until Genesis chapter 6. And that story in particular is not even in the Bible. It's on Wikipedia. Yeah, go Google. I was trying to spell the name Gadriel properly, and I didn't know. Well, is it Gadreal or Gadrial? Gadreel? Well, I Googled it, and sure as heck Wikipedia pulls up for it. And Wikipedia gives quite a witness. Gadriel, according to Wikipedia, is one of the 5 fallen angels who led the fallen angels. And the number 200 sticks out in my mind, and I can't tell you where I got that from. But it's not directly in the Bible. It's in one of the extra biblical books, one of those books that didn't make it into what we have for the Bible today. And apparently 200 of those fallen angels gathered on Mount Hermon. And Mount Hermon was a very important mountain. And apparently those fallen angels gathered there and they conspired among themselves. And part of the agreement was they weren't going to talk about it once they left the mountain, because they didn't want anybody finding out. So you and I weren't supposed to find out what they did. And basically the Bible, Genesis, I believe it's chapter 6, verse 2, it says that they conspired and they decided they found the daughters of men fair, found them lovely. And what they did is they decided to take all of them for wives that they wanted. In other words, hey, we're going to go have sex with them. You got to remember there was no marriage certificate back then. You didn't have to have that. All you had to do was, the sex act was the marital ceremony, basically, the marital act. In Genesis 6, verse 1, and it came to pass when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born to them. Okay. That the sons of God, it says God here, capital G, doesn't say Yahweh, saw the daughters of men that they were fair, and they took them wives all which they chose. So a key word here, according to one fellow, is the word took. They took them wives. And that's a key word because another teacher of the gospel tells me that you don't take a woman to wife. She is given in marriage. She's not taken in marriage. So, and here's the problem, is in verse 3. And Yahweh said, my spirit shall not always strive with man, for that he also is flesh, yet his days shall be 120 years. Okay, so that's where 120 years comes from, Genesis 6, verse 3. So at that point, our lifespans were limited to 120 years. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm not seeing too many people make it, to even 110 or even 105 or even 100. But that's the last statement in the Bible a long time ago, that we're going to be limited to 120 years. Prior to that, you've got people like Methuselah, 969 years. You have some others that were long as well. None were longer than that, but our lifespan's shortened. So the key feature I wanted to do was correct and admit my error. Christ is in the Bible one time. That's the only time I find it. Otherwise, it's Christian and Christians. So there's only 3 entries in the entire Bible that I can think of. So that supports the premise of there never should have been a thing called the Christian religion, the Christian faith. Now, another fallacy we have is that the Jewish faith existed way back then in Genesis, and there was no Jewish faith then. The Jewish faith properly did not exist until after the Babylonian captivity. When those people came back from Babylon to the Promised Land, they had been changed. Their faith had been changed. It went in one way, it came out another way, and it did not come out improved from what I can see. And that's a hard one for people to fathom and to accept. Most people say there's a Judeo-Christian tradition. People who are on the advanced end of reading the Bible will tell you, no, there's not. It was put forward that way, but that was a misrepresentation, if you will, to say something kindly, or a lie if you don't like that. There was no Judeo-Christian tradition. However, when they produced this Bible in 1917, I think it was, or was it 1907, the Schofield Reference Study Bible, they decided to combine those. It was actually not done by Schofield. Schofield was an attorney, a front man, a Gentile man in the front. And it was a committee of rabbis, of Jews, that put that Bible together. And they changed it. And in the margins, they put in things that were not factual and were not true. Like Moses was a Jew. No, he was not. There were Hebrews, called Hebrews because that was their language. Okay, that was the shared language. They were descendants of Heber. You drop the H on Heber and you get Eber. So there is quite a history to it. I don't know how we're going to dig that up and sort it out, but it's alluded to directly here in the Bible pretty much. If you read the Bible carefully, you realize that they came out different from the Babylonian captivity. However, if you read it carefully, you also realize that they all didn't go into Babylon. A lot of them went to Assyria, or I should say to the far side of Assyria, between Assyria and the Medes, where they were placed as a buffer zone to protect the Assyrians from their enemies, the Medes. And if you're wondering, that location, the river, the harbor, there's 3 landmarks in the Bible mentioned about 5 times. And it's important that it's in there that much so you will realize, not to the casual reader, but to the guy or girl who reads this thing regularly will realize, gee, we were placed there. Where are those places? Go look it up on the map. They were just south of the Caucasus Mountains. And when the time came, the Israelites, not the people from the southern part of the house of Judah, who were in Babylon, but the Israelites bolted across the Caucasus Mountains. And that's how we end up being called Caucasians. And the most important question is, where did we come from before that? Well, the Caucasus Mountain range is quite a length to it. And about 2/3 of the way up it, if you will, because it goes at a bit of an angle, about 2/3 of the way up that thing is a pass. And that's the pass that the Israelites went through. It's called the Darrell Pass. It's about 13,000 feet up there, just about the same height as the mountains and passes in Colorado. And generally speaking, our grandmothers and grandfathers made it through there in 3 giant migrations and broke into Europe. So we are the real deal. We are not Gentiles grafted in by grace. So here I've corrected myself, and I've gotten to the point where you should understand what Christian identity is. I don't like using that term very much because they tend to like to put the word movement after it, and they tend to say it's a religious cult. Well, and as you know, I don't think that we should be called Christians, although that's what I have to go with. That's what most of you understand this as. That basically the faith was established at Mount Sinai. We agreed to live by those laws. Well, those are in line with natural law. If you think about it, there's consequences for violating other people according to those 10 commandments. And usually they don't take too kindly to it, and they just might whack your butt. They might just kill your ass. So, what do I want you to take away from this? Well, one is I'm not perfect, that's for sure. The other is that you got to get this Bible. This is the better copy. It is a bit different than the King James Bible. It's actually more accurate than the King James because it's got the proper name of Yahweh in it. Remember, that was taken out way before the King James Bible was produced. So we actually are living at a time in which the scriptures are improved over what was available for the last couple thousand years or so. It's much more accurate. I'm looking forward to the apocryphal books being translated, separately from this, but being a part of this in modern English. I'm looking also forward to a parallel translation in which we have a decent version of the King James side by side with the proper name version of the King James. And that would be more or less a study Bible for people who want to be able to reference all of the research that's been done on the King James, the original King James Bible from 1611. Well, the world appears to be coming apart pretty quickly. If you want to understand who the bad guys are, you read the Bible. It'll explain to you who the bad guys are. part of the whole thing about the bad guys is that even Yahshua points them out as the money changers in the temple. He points them out in Revelations when he says, I know you who say you were Jews and are not, but are of the synagogue of Satan. So we have a group that hides behind the Jews. We have a group that happens to like to be money changers, bankers. And those appear to be the ones who own and run this place today. Through a series of frauds, they've stolen almost everything, and they own everything, including you or me. We're actually bond slaves in their system. I'm looking into how to get out of that system legitimately, legally. We are currently, well, we're kind of in exile. We're not under the Constitution. We're under Interstate Commercial Code, ICC, that started in 1952, 70 years ago. And so most of us don't understand how we've been maligned, but it's through a series of contracts that we have never consented to. So it's through a series of frauds, if you will. And you're going to find that the United States of America has been taken over by a foreign power. We aren't the good guys anymore. Bad things happen here, and we are allowing ourselves and our might to be misused. We need to get control of our country back. That government that's in Washington, D.C. is not our proper government. The state governments are not proper state governments. They're all corporations at this point. So even those need to be changed around quite a bit. The republic has been destroyed incrementally over a couple, more than 200 years. More than 200 years. The first blow, I think, was in 1812, 1813. Then we had that jackass, I don't like him, Abraham Lincoln, that sinister president who was a big liar. And however, it's hard to understand what he was up against because he was a Rothschild himself, and the Rothschilds had taken aim at our nations, and maybe he was the right president for us to have to survive that. But at this point, I think he's done a lot of damage. He's converted us from a Jeffersonian republic to a Lincolnian republic, and as we've gone down the road, we've lost even more. So we lost when we converted to debt-based instruments rather than to honest money. In 1913, then we were robbed of our gold in about 1933, and the country was bankrupted, and everything was put into trust. And a bunch of frauds were committed upon us, which we still have trouble understanding and overcoming. And then, above all, we got rid of the Senate. We ended up with a glorified super congressman. Senators were never to be elected by the people, but by the governments of the states to represent the state governments. The state governments were the parties of the Constitution. We no longer have participation by the original parties of the Constitution in this process. I think that we should get rid of all of those senators and go back to requiring the state legislators for each state get together and elect from among themselves 2 people to be their representatives, their senators at the federal level. And I think we need to go a step further and require the states pay for the wages and the benefits of their senators. Congress, on the other hand, doesn't deserve any pay, shouldn't get paid. It should only be men and women who donate their time to the nation, so they won't be there forever. They won't become professional politicians. They should not get any pay or any benefits. Give them a simple per diem. Pay for their room and board for the day served, and that's it. That was another problem that happened in loss of our republic. So we have no republic. We no longer have a democracy. We have an oligarchy. We've got these big tyrants like Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, to this point. All of these have been geared against us because they're all owned by the same Khazarians in the background. And in case you're wondering, the Ukraine is modern Khazaria today. It was Khazaria until 1100 AD, and they're flying the Ukrainian banner in war. The unit patches all have the ancient symbol, the symbol for the ancient Khazaria. The flag behind their president, when he's addressing people, has got the banner under which Khazaria went to war. So you need to understand that also Big Pharma, they all have their headquarters in one nation, in one city, and that is in Kiev in the Ukraine. Um, why there? Well, those people seem to major in poisons. They learned how to poison and how to drug up people early on, and they did horrible things. So, and most of your occupants of Israel today are, a large part of them are from Khazaria, which was driven off and became the Ashkenazi Jews. It's mixed. It's not pure, so it's hard to make an absolute statement about it. It's purposely hard to separate the wheat from the chaff at this point, but at least you can identify it and understand who the chaff is, who the bad guys are. The problem is, do you understand who you are? Do you understand who the good guys are? Do you understand your obligations under the agreement at Mount Sinai? Do you understand your benefits? Do you understand the benefit of living according to that natural law that was given at Mount Sinai? It was meant so that you could work out your salvation, so you could follow the way, and have that special relationship, by the way. And that's not with Jesus, it's with Yeshua. And it basically is, you let him take control of your life and you do the right thing. You appeal for his help so that you have the strength and the resources so you can do the right thing. So that's what I pray you have is the insight and the resources so you can do the right thing, so you can make the better choice, so you can have the rewards. You want to know what the rewards are? They're in here. The rewards for the blessings for obedience are in here in two different books in the early Bible, in Leviticus and Deuteronomy. It's a double witness. However, the curses are in here too, and the curses are twice as long, and they are rather terminal. And so if you want to read something, read the curses for disobedience, and you tell me you're not reading about our nation today, the United States today, because I assure you are. I assure you that all of those curses that are mentioned in the Old Testament are upon the United States today, as well as all the old sins that are mentioned throughout the Bible that were problems, the errors of Balaam. All right, I've gone long. I wanted to correct myself, and I'm going to put this up. We have got problems going on in the world. We do need to get control over our federal government again. We got some real jackasses in D.C. that need to be sent home. May Yahweh bless. It's Dr. Kent out. Bye-bye.